to be showing you how to make a shop. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to make the shop UI. On here we're going to add a frame. Let's just scale this, make sure it's in the center. In here we're going to add a text label. Make sure we drag this all the way across. We're going to go into the properties tab. We're going to make the text scaled. We're going to call it shop. We're going to make the background transparency 1, and then we're going to color the frame to a nice color. Alright, here let's add a UI stroke, not around the text but around the border, and let's make that thick, and let's add one to the actual border. And now that we have our shop, we can make sure to add a text button, and we're going to call this sword, and this is going to be our sword. We're going to scale this, we're going to name it sword, and this is going to be in the middle as well. We're going to now turn off visibility. We're going to rename the screen GUI to shop, and in shop we're going to add a text button. Pull this down, and we're going to do scale the text. We're going to name the text to shop. We're going to now color the background to a nice purple. And now let's script the shop opening and closing. Oh wait, before we do that, let's open up the shop again. You can turn off the visibility. Underneath the sword, have another text label. So and this is gonna tell us the price. Guess gonna make the background transparency to 1. We're gonna scale it, and we're going to do text how much we want this to be equal to. We want this to be equal to 100 cash, and let's just color this yellow. So now that we know that the sword cost 100 cash, if you want you can even add an image for the sword. So you're just going to search image label, and you could just put the image right there. Scale this down, and you can delete that. Go back to your toolbox, go to images, and you can search sword. Let's find a sword. Let's search classic sword. Here we go. We're going to copy the asset ID by right clicking, and then we're going to search image, remove this and paste this in by right clicking and clicking paste. We're going to remove the background transparency again. Now that we have the sword, we can turn off the shop visibility, turn that off. Let's also add the stroke into the text button, paste into, and we're going to name this open. Right, now let's put a script inside of the open button, and what we're going to do is we're going to do script.parent. So when the text button, when it's clicked, we're going to connect this into a function, and then we're gonna, there we go. And now we're going to do script.parent. So we're going to the text button, but then we want to go to the frame. So script.parent.frame, there we go. Dot visible is equal to not script.parent script.parent.frame.visible. And if you want, you could actually make a variable. We're going to name this variable frame, and frame is going to equal to script.parent.screenGUI.frame. And now we can remove all of this and we'll just replace it with frame, and we can just replace all of this with frame. And now if we click play and we enter game, and it turns off and on. Now what we're going to need to do is create our cache, because we don't actually have cache. So when the player is added, so game.players.player added, we're going to connect this into a function, and we're going to call this player, and we're going to go down, and we're going to now create our leader stats. So local folder is going to equal to instance.new, which is going to create something, and what it's going to create is a folder. We want the folder to be called, so the name is going to be called leader stats, because a folder named leader stats inside of the player makes everything inside of the folder show. So folder.name equals leader stats, and we're going to put the folder inside of the player, so folder.parent equals player. And now we want to create our cache, so local cache is going to equal to instance.new, since that creates new things, and we're going to do a value. But what value are we going to do here? We could do a number value, or we could do an init value. We're just going to do an init value, and we're going to do cache.name is equal to cache, and then we're going to do cache.value is going to equal to, we're going to start the player off with 100 cache, with 500 cache. So every time the player gets added, they're always going to start off with 500 cache. Even when they remove their cache and they rejoin, they're going to get their cache back. We're not going to do any saving in this video, no leader stats saving. And now we're going to actually need to script how to buy the sword. And what we're going to do here is go into our frame, go into the sword, and insert a local script. We're going to remove everything here, and we're going to do, before we script anything, let's go back to here, and this, if we enable this again, this is the cache. So we're going to name this price, and we're actually going to remove the cache sign, which is going to be 100, and then you could add another thing at the side and just name that cache. I guess you could just do that, and then you could just move this to the side. Make sure this is not called price, this is called cache. And now into, and the mistake I just realized is in this script, in the stats script, make sure you actually put the cache inside of the folder. I forgot to do that. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to when the button is clicked, we're going to do, so script.parent.mouse button one clicked. So when the button is clicked, I'm going to connect that button into a function, and when it's clicked, when it's clicked, we're just going to check if the player has enough stats. But before we're actually going to do that in another script, so we're just going to fire a remote function. Make sure you also have a sword in the server storage, like your tool. Make sure your text button is also called the same as your tool. Okay, now in here we're going to add a script, and in replicated storage we're going to add a remote function, and we're going to do game.replicatedStorage.remote function. Let's actually rename this to tool, capital L tool. So I'm going to do invoke server, and we're actually going to send over, what do we want to send over? We want to send over the name, right? So we're going to do script.parent, so the text button, the name of the text button, which is called sword. We're going to send that over. Now we can just close out this, and in the script that we made, make sure to rename your script. So the script, we're going to name this stats, and in this script we're going to name this tools, and here we're going to do game.replicatedStorage.tool.onServerInvoke. It's going to equal to a function. In the function, we're always going to have the player first, and then we're going to actually have the thing that we send over, so which is the tool. And we're going to do local player, we're going to do a new variable, local player tool is equal to game.serverStorage find first child, and we're going to find the tool. We're going to, since in the other script we send over the name, we're just going to find the tool. Since we're already finding the name of it in the other script, we're already sending the name over. Let's close that. I'm going to do, if we actually do find it, then we're going to do player tool. We're going to clone this, and we're going to put it inside of the player's backpack. So .parent is going to move it into the player's backpack, and we can just copy this, move down the line, and then we can just paste this again. And here we're going to actually change it to starter gear. Let's send over the actual cache amount. So let's do another, let's just do cache, comma cache, and then in here we're also going to send the script.parent, and now we're going to do cache.text, so this sends over the text. And now we're going to do local amount is equal to toNumber, because we're going to make the cache into a number since it's a string. Since we're sending a string, since it's a text table, we're sending over the cache. And we're going to do if the player tool, and we're going to do and player.leaderStats.cache, because the cache is in the leader stats. If the value of the cache is bigger than or equal to, because the crocodile eats the bigger number, to the amount, then we can do all of this, and we can actually copy this again. Copy, go down here, paste this in, paste, and we can change this to take away and equal to, and this will remove the cache. So if we do this then, and let's just remove this and just paste that in and paste that in. Okay, well then let's send over here. Instead of doing toNumber here, we're going to actually do toNumber, then we're going to paste that in, toNumber script.parent.text, and here we can just put cache, and here we can just put cache. Oh, make sure you do price, not cache. That's my bad. Do not make these little mistakes I make. There we go. And now we can buy a classic sword.